Greetings, Goddess Body, Mind, Spirit community. This is your Goddess Guru, Tyra Omilade, here to share a word of inspiration with you on your path to self-realization and self-mastery. I posted a reading. I do a weekly reading in my Goddess Body, Mind, Spirit membership site. And someone asked me, what do you mean when you say move past your conditionings? And I thought, you know what? That is an excellent question. Um, because one of the first teachings that I got was from the Metunetter by Ra'u Nefer Amen, where he talks about transcending your conditionings. And so when the energy of Haru speaks, Haru is the same energy as Shango, also related to the energy of the sun. Um, when Haru speaks, then that is one of the indications that you perhaps have to be cautious of operating from your conditionings, as well as Aset. If you get an Aset reading, which is the same energy as Yemoja, Isis, the mom, the moon. And so what ends up happening is, especially if you get a reading and it's in the negative, it's saying that you perhaps are operating from your conditionings, and um, it's taking you on a place that you don't want to be. It's landing you where you don't want to be instead of where you want to be. So once I began to start applying this concept of transcending my conditionings, then it really actually became a part of what my spiritual practices are about, part of my, what I am to do in life is to transcend conditionings. Because what ends up happening is, first and foremost, conditionings are the programming that we receive. The condition, now, not all conditionings are bad. We come here actually with the faculty within us. And again, this is all from the Metunetter, with certain faculties, and I'm sure other teachers teach this, but I'm telling you where I got it from. We come here with certain faculties open. The faculties that are most open are Aset, Sebek, and Haru, because all three of those have something to do with learning, and it has something to do with being able to go with the flow enough to morph, shift, and change into that thing. Okay. And it's a part of how we learn how to survive. Well, it doesn't discriminate. So we may come in and we may be told, your name is, Tyra, or your name is Tariq. You are, African American, or you're Jamaican, or, you're whatever from Belize. And your family is rich or your family is poor, your family is of status, your family isn't of status, your family believes this, this is your religion because this is your family's religion. And, education is important or education isn't important. And then, the world will start telling you things. Well, if you're from this particular culture, country, in certain parts of the United States, it might just be if you're from this side of town, then this is what this means. This is what this means about you. If you are female, if you are male, this is what that means about you. Now, I might hear it from the bigger community from one direction, and someone else may hear it from a different direction. Say, for instance, if we're talking about what it means to be a woman, well, for some women, they may hear, well, to be a woman, it means that you're going to be a mom and a wife and take care of the home. Whereas someone else, even from the same city, might have the messages coming in, well, you be whatever you want to be. You define yourself as a woman, and, what do you want to do? Because women they define who they are. It all depends on where the messages come from, right? We don't all get the exact same message. Although overall, there is sometimes like this collective message that the majority of us in a group will pick up and take on. And the crazy part about it is, because, like I said, it's parts of ourselves that are very receptive when we're children, we don't question it a lot of times. We just take it in, it comes in, and it becomes so much a part of who and what we are that we literally believe it is the absolute truth. um, Other ways that we are programmed and get these conditionings that make us believe a certain way, act a certain way, wear our hair a certain way, speak the way that we speak, so on and so forth. It comes from experience. If you have enough experiences as a child where people make you feel like you are, royalty, that's gonna be a part of your conditioning. It doesn't matter where you go, you will think, I'm royal for the most part. If you are a child and you get enough messages that you are horrible, you're not lovable, that will become a part of what you believe to be true about you. And of course, all of this programming dictates whether we are able to go in the A direction or the B direction, transcend and expand and grow and evolve to be whatever, right? It dictates how we see the world. A lot of times we get shocked that people see the world in a way that we're like, what? Where does this come from? Why would you think the world is that way? It's an absolute, like, not true what they believe, but they believe it because that's how they were programmed. And maybe that's you, all right? And there is no discrimination in ethnicity, nationality, gender. There's no discrimination. and, and who does this and how it happens, it happens to all of us. So that's what that's about. And what ends up happening, one of the things that I've really gotten into understanding more and more is the power of the subconscious. I always sort of had an understanding of it just because I watch myself. When I began to try to heal, it's like, wait a minute, there's something there and I can't quite hear it, but I know it's operating because it's making me feel a certain way or operate a certain way. And it's the exact opposite of what I said I was going to do. Right. So the subconscious gets programmed by all of this. It's below the surface. We're operating from this. It colors our world. However, the good news is that what I have learned is that we live according to cycles. Now, you pick which cycle you want. I am into astrology. We live according to cycles. And so, for instance, at about the age of 12, we get to a place where we are wanting to expand and grow and be something new and different. At that age, maybe we go for it, right? Because we haven't been hardened so much by the world. We're still young, and there's just something about that youthfulness we just really have this will to live, right? And then once we hit 24, that's another big time growth period where it's like, I don't want to be who I used to be. I want to be something different. Well, a lot of times what will end up dictating whether or not we go for it or not is our programming, is what we believe to be true about ourselves, what we believe to be a possibility for ourselves. As all of these different phases begin to happen, another thing that a lot of times will sort of dictate what's going to happen is when an eclipse is going to happen. Because eclipses will trigger, I believe that just my, own personal understanding of watching astrology in my life and other people's lives is, first and foremost, we put these charts in place, or whatever, however you want to put it, these blueprints. We have a blueprint, and I'm using astrology, but some people may use numerology, different Odu, whatever, different divination systems. It doesn't matter, but it's a blueprint. And within the astrological blueprint, we perhaps can have an eclipse happen because we set up our chart and we knew, because what happens is we forget the truth of who and what we are when we're born. It's part of how we are able to come here and really have a deep dive into the human experience. Because if we didn't really sort of forget that we are actually, transcendent, we're divine consciousness, we are soul, we are, spirit, however you want to describe it, we are the great divine incarnate, then we would not really care, because the great divine, I mean, it's like all powerful. It can do anything. And, it doesn't fall for the tricks of the holographic physical projection. So we come, we forget. Right. And so we, before we get here, we have to put into place this blueprint to make sure that we can keep ourselves moving in the right direction. We don't get too stuck in our stumble. And so something like an eclipse will happen and it will activate something. Now, whether or not you go with that eclipse with grace and ease, or if that eclipse completely and totally doesn't Oya move on you. If you don't know who Oya is the goddess of transformation. And she will whip you up through a tornado and you're standing there like, what the heck just happened, right? So, it all depends on, to a large extent, your conditionings. How lost are you in your conditionings? How much have you let the world suppress you? How backwards are you from your destiny, from the highest truths, from operating from your expanded self, right? How close are you? These eclipses, they will trigger events in your life. And it just sort of depends on where the eclipse happens in your blueprint. The more it happens in the area that has to do specifically with yourself or with your relationships, home, family, and career, those are the ones that can really turn things around. And the next thing you know, you're like, who am I? I want to move, but I can't get past, thinking I don't deserve it and I don't feel lovable. Why am I having so many problems in this particular area of my life? Why are things going so wrong? And how can I get things to be right again? And I just feel like there's something more out there, right? Well, part of the journey back to wholeness, part of the journey back to knowing the truth of who and what we are, is removing the layers of conditionings. And we are given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to do it. The problem is a lot of us are very attached to our conditionings. We are attached to our programming. We like it. Even if we're saying, I don't want to be like this anymore, or I'll do anything to get to where I want to go. Really? Will you? Will you die to the old to step into the new? Will you forget, certain things that you believe about yourself? What if to get to where you need to get to, you've got to lose some of your labels? That's hard for people. I talked about Haru and how sometimes if you get a Haru reading, it's speaking to removing the layers of your conditionings. Look at your belief system. What do you believe? Is your belief system limiting you or is it expanding you? In Haru, I also relate to addiction. Because Haru is it's an addictive energy, period. It just lends itself towards addictions. And some people think addiction is just about um, you know, alcohol, drugs. Other people be like, oh yeah, and there's food addiction and gambling and sex addiction. But sometimes people don't realize how much we are addicts for our ego. We are very much addicts for our ego. As a matter of fact, our egos are actually um, our, they are the greatest exhibit of our conditionings. And one of the best things we can do is begin to spiritualize our ego, because our ego is made of these conditionings. It's going to want to hold its place. It's not going to want to let go, and it will sabotage us every step of the way. This is another reason we've got to transcend conditionings, because the conditionings become a stronghold that the ego uses. I watch my ego when I start saying, "Oh, I'm making changes," and the ego, it adjusts, it adapts, but it'll be like, "All right, I know what will push her buttons to make her stop trying to change. I know exactly who to bring into her life, or what to let her see on, social media." Even first of all, she said she wasn't gonna get on social media, and I know social media is one of the best places to get her all emotional and riled up. So I got to do something to make her get on social media. Oh, I need to get on and check and see whatever. I get on to check to see whatever. Don't even check that. And then I see some post that makes me mad. Next thing I know, I'm replying. And then I'm like, I didn't even get on here to do this. I was supposed to be working on that project. I was supposed to be working on my destiny. I was supposed to be working on my relationships, my health, my wealth in all ways. And I'm on here doing what? And it's like, oh my God, why am I like this? Well, because if we don't address our conditionings, it leaves our ego running the show. And the ego, like I said initially, we come with this faculty open so that we can learn the world, so we can assimilate and be a human. But by the same token, because we don't have proper rites of passages in general, maybe things are changing for the younger generation, because we don't have people who were awake enough themselves to be like, oh, I'm not going to let my child. Some people did. Some people's parents realized, I cannot let the world condition my child. I will do everything I can to protect my child and let my child just be who they came here to be. But that's rare. That's rare. A lot of parents just conform, and we beating our kids, or we fussing at our kids because they're making us look bad, or we were told this is how children are supposed to act, and so that's what we're going to demand of our kids, even though it may not be true. And it may not be true for that child. That's a unique human being, right? So we come with this faculty open. We have to have it. As a matter of fact, we will have it for as long as we're here. The question is, how much are we going to let the limited aspect of ourselves run our lives and keep us stuck in our stumble? Well, once we begin to peel away the layers, to drop the labels, to step outside of our comfort zones, question everything that we believe. Once we begin to do that, we take our power back, we reject, and we find different ways to do it. Examples for me were back in, it was 94 when I first cut my hair off. This is not the first time I've had my hair short like this. 94, I cut my hair short. Now, excuse me, I went to Spelman College, where And okay, first and foremost, my mother wore her hair natural. Like, she had the Angela Davis fro when I remember when I was like 6. And when I graduated from college, my mother had not Angela Davis fro, but it was out there a little bit. She had a nice little fro. Um, Janetta Cole was the president of Spelman College. She had a fro, not super long, not super short. It wasn't super popular in 1994 to have short and natural. But I just got to that point where I was like, you know what? I don't care what other people think about my hair. I'm going to cut my hair off and wear it naturally, because that's just what I'm going to do. Same with dreadlocks. I remember when I first started wearing my dreadlocks. Now I'm in the South, USA. It was not common. And this was not that long ago, 2000. I remember people thought I had braids. There were even some African Americans who thought me having very manicured dreadlocks was gross. I'm like, wow. But I thought, you know what? I'm so tired of feeling like I am not beautiful, and, trying to live up to some other people's beauty standards. I will set my own beauty standard. I reject the world's beauty standard and I will step into my own beauty standard. And, I have since then helped a lot of women move past their fear of moving, wearing a natural hair. We get terrified as Afro women sometimes to wear our natural hair. And I'm like, now it's so common, it's easier. But, uh, there's a lot of us that have made that decision, but what the world said. But it took us transcending our conditionings, right? It's a lot of people, all cultures, all levels of society or whatever, who decided, I've done this and this ain't me. I don't care what the world says. This is what I'm going to do. This is what it means to transcend your conditionings. It means that you no longer will just be who you've been. Time is called for you to change. Time is called for you to grow. Every solar return, you get a chance to renew yourself. Every Venus return, you get a chance to renew yourself. Every Mercury return, every Mars return. Saturn return is only once every 30 years, but once Saturn return, the moon, we can redefine ourselves literally with the phases of the moon, with the moon moving through the different signs. Um, we can use the seasons: spring, summer, winter, fall. Every year, we get an opportunity to set New Year's goals, intentions, resolutions. I don't care what you call them. Um, it's limitless opportunities. I say one of the best ways to move past your conditionings is to set a goal for yourself to achieve something you have not yet achieved. Another one that's pretty common is people grow up eating one particular way and it doesn't work for them. And so they decide they're going to have a whole different lifestyle overhaul, upgrade, um, because they want something new in their health and wellness. And so, I was one of those. You go home and everybody's like, well, how you eating? What you eat? You don't eat what? You eat how? Mm. But what you have to do in order to become who you want to be will require you to drop conditionings that are limiting you. So set a goal, because sometimes if it's like, well, yeah, I know I need to change. If you don't have something that you're running towards, there is comfort that we find in staying the same. It's a very comfortable thing, even if it's painful. Sometimes we will stay where we are because at least we know it. And so, in order to sort of force us, we should put ourselves in positions to go for a new goal, to go for something new, something different, to be something new, to be something different. And we should do it in a way where we, as one of my teachers says, burn the boats. You cannot turn back. So this is what I have to say about transcending your conditionings. I remember hearing someone say one time, and I'll end here, that we it was something to the effect of, it's just crazy that we live our whole lives taking on all these conditionings only to have like one of our greatest spiritual achievements be to peel them all away. For those who are interested in initiation, this is truly what initiation is about. It's just peeling away those layers, getting a fresh new start, and being who you truly came here to be. This is Tyrone Milade. I hope that this has been helpful to you. Please, if you need a reading, you can go to my website, goddessbodymindspirit.com, and order a reading. I do have an Inner Circle membership site. You can learn more about it there at my website. Please like the video, share the video, comment below. Are you in the midst of transcending your conditionings? The other thing I would be interested to know is who thinks they have already transcended. And what has that been like? Because something that I find in this path That's for another video. I'll see y'all in the next video. Talk to you later. Peace and love.